Good morning, Dr. Hall. Back with you again. I promised 5 minutes, and yesterday I was in meetings all day, so I did not get my 5 minutes, so I will do two 5-minute videos today. Yesterday in our professional development, we talked about a couple of things that were just reviews, so learning objectives, checking for understanding, which is happening all the way through the lesson, and then the activator and lesson importance. And so from that, one of the big things I stressed was engagement. Your activator is engaging. And if you have engagement throughout your entire lesson, what you will find is you won't have discipline problems. You will have kids who are hooked on the content. They want to learn more. Not that you're forcing it down their throats. There's a sense of academic inquiry that you build into your classroom. So a great book that I really highly recommend, I read it probably about 3 years ago, Engaging Students with Poverty in Mind, has lots of tidbits about just how students who have grown up in poverty or are currently in poverty, how their brains operate. It's important to understand how the brain operates and how students learn to be able to meet those needs of students. And this really hits on those things. And so today, I'm going to talk about engagement. And there's so many things. I've done this recording actually like 3 times and my phone keeps dying. And so I apologize. And I think I've said 3 different things 3 different times because there's so much about engagement. But one way that I really found kids got engaged is, whether we like to admit it or not, they have technology around them all the time. They're watching TV, they're watching videos, they're watching Vines, they're looking at Facebook, they're looking at Instagram, short little clips of things. And that's how their brains are operating right now. And so that's what we have to work with. So I use video clips from YouTube all the time. So as a social studies teacher, and like Pawn Stars, for example, the kids, if they didn't watch it, one of their parents have watched it, but that dude on there is a history buff. And so I would bring in little clips of something he may have said about the Civil War or Reconstruction, and that would be my activator to get the kids hooked. Like, oh, you know what, my dad watches that. Really? I didn't even think about what we learn in class has to do with what's on TV. So then they start to make these real world connections to everything they're doing. Commercials, topics. So like Miss Mixon and I talked about, she's studying the bourgeoisie, and she's like, that song, Bad and Bougie? Exactly. So Bad and Bougie, the censored version, would be okay for the kids. Like, what an activator that is. They come in, they're going to be jamming to the music, and then they're going to be wondering, why is she playing Bad and Bougie? And, Miss Mixon knows Bad and Bougie? And so then what a great lead-in to the bourgeoisie class and how these historical terms have been used throughout time as well. And it's building their academic vocabulary. So video clips are a great way to engage. The other thing is simulations. In a social studies classroom, it's very easy. I think ELA, science, it's a little more difficult in the math classroom, but the more simulations you can do, the more students are going to retain the information. As a psychology teacher, I had to teach PTSD. Why do people who have PTSD have these vivid memories that they cannot get rid of? Because they have a strong emotion tied to it. So if you could make children feel what it feels like to be in that time period in history, they will remember it. So I've had great teachers who've done simulations of Ellis Island, and they've went through the process, and so the kids remember that industrialization, and they've went through being a factory worker and having to be able to try to make ends meet and things like that. Sociology, psychology, tons of great activities that I did to show social stratification and dividing up the class and using painter's tape, and 90% of you get this small area, 10% get this big area, and now we're going to work out some situations in society to build into what we're going to study in the long run. And so I already talked about music. That's a great way. I personally found a music clip for every single day, and that was part of my bell ringers because I wanted to activate like their thinking, and so that when they went into the real world outside of me, that they were seeing the connections themselves, and they by doing that in the classroom, modeling that in the classroom, then they learn how to do that on the outside. So like when I had the drug unit, so I used Pink's Little Pill, and or I talked with Miss Holloway, and the kids are really into Edgar Allan Poe, and there's a really great song out right now about a rapper singing he's suicidal, and so the kids have brought up suicide and depression at this age. What a great way, again, to connect and make it relevant. CPSs, making sure those classroom performance assessments, systems, clickers, ActiVotes, great way to keep kids engaged because they're always having to be on point. They have to be paying attention. Another thing is bringing physical activity. We know that if there's physical activity in the classroom, that students will remember. Again, the brain is functioning at an active state. So whether you're doing gallery walks, you have things posted up in the classroom. I had simulations like they had to learn about neurons and transmission from neuron to neuron, and so we did a neuron dance, and so things like that you can make up that kids will remember, and you'll see them on the test, and they'll and there goes the electrical current. So that's really important as well. Physical activity. Also choice, giving the kids some choice as to what they want to read or what they're doing in the classroom. So I did that through choice boards. I did that through having text sets that were Lexiled, and I allowed kids to do book walks and book talks, and then they got to choose what they read in relationship to the content. And of course, the content itself in the book is the same, but it's at different levels. And then think-tac-toes, I did those so they would all have to complete easy, medium, hard projects throughout the semester, but it was, again, their choice. And when they have choice, just like you, and it's individualized, you want to learn because it's you making the decision, not someone forcing you to do it. And so I went a little bit over my time today. I apologize, but that's just a few ways that you can work on increasing your engagement, and having that passion and excitement is going to help your kids be engaged in the classroom. So I'll see you next time, guys.